Hello there. This project looks into the impact of technological advancement on the control traditional newsrooms have on political news content in Kenya. It sets out an understanding of how, due to changes in the media sector, news sources are seeking to control the content that is aired about themselves. This project calls it controlled journalism. To understand this concept, we need to have an appreciation of the state of the media. Mark Briggs, a management consultant and media trainer, states that due to digital disruption, about a third of the newsroom jobs that existed at US newspapers in 2001 were gone by 2010, according to the State of the News Media report. Newspaper circulation declined more than 25% in the same period. In Kenya, for instance, the digital disruption has been consistent over the last decade. The industry has been hit by shrinking revenues, causing staff reduction by major news organizations. The shifts have meant that the media houses must embrace technology in their operations, further making previously important jobs redundant. The growth of mobile telephony, faster internet, and sophisticated smartphones have made the mobile phone a powerful tool. This has created citizen journalism that is so independent of traditional media outlets. News sources can publish their own stories, call it some form of control in their hands. In the 19th century, the American Civil War, Captain John Morden says, most media restrictions came from the field and varied from unit to unit, mainly through withholding information or restricting access and interviews. In the World War II, the media was part of the military's war strategy, a good tool to spread propaganda. This is consistent with Kenya's war in Somalia against the Al-Shabaab, dubbed Operation Linda Nchi, translating to Operation Defend the Country. Kenyan journalists were embedded in the KDF troops. Very little was told on losses suffered by the KDF. The highest office in the land has since independence had some form of media and communication strategy. Come 2013, Kenya's fourth president Uhuru Kenyatta came in on a platform of digital revolution. He opened the gates of State House to the media. But in 2016, the high office appeared to limit media scrutiny. Press invitations reduced, reporters were no longer needed, and when called, question time was restricted to predetermined topics. This progressed to PSU team recording president's events and speeches and sharing with media houses through an open file sharing and storage system called forshare.com. This was convenient for media houses and still is, but at a cost. The narrative was restricted by the presidency. By 2017, PSU had perfected the art. Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto were seeking re-election. They embedded select journalists from media houses in their campaign.
The teams would be very concerned about what story is going on air. One, they have provided that transport for you, means of moving from one place to another. So it was quite a challenge because in some incidents when there were pockets of hostility in areas that we visited and you talk about those incidents, they would be angry because they want to look like, we've had a successful campaign, it's been devoid of any issue. So they would really want the positive stories to go on air.
The digital technologies are now better. Political teams have better media components, state-of-the-art equipment, and they have hired former professional journalists to manage the teams. So what's happening? Kenya's Deputy President William Ruto hopes to become president. He has held more than 300 political meetings in under 2 years, according to some media reports. He has done this while tracked by his own media team. This has been very convenient for media houses who, with the reduced staff sizes, can afford to prioritize their manpower, resting easy that Ruto's content will come in. What they didn't know is that as days progressed, it would bite them. Now in a political mood, Ruto's campaign team has limited the access journalists have to some of the meetings.
And when we went to them, the explanation they gave was that most of their meetings in there are what they call strategy meetings, and they don't want their strategy going out there.
Here's an email sent by Ruto's media team on the 11th of October 2021 to media houses. He had been meeting community leaders from Murang'a, one of the counties in central Kenya. See how the team decided to make high cost of fuel as the news story, just like a professional journalist would. See how that became the lead to a story executed by Citizen TV.
Deputy President William Ruto has hit out at the Ministry of Petroleum for allegedly allowing cartels to dictate fuel prices, blaming the steep rise in the prices of petroleum products on what he termed as rot within the ministry. The DP says the fuel cost...
This is controlled journalism. And it got worse. Ruto's campaign team became uncomfortable with some of the coverage by some of the media houses. They even boycotted some of the stations for weeks.
They want to dictate to us, for example, who should be coming to the talk shows. So, like the meeting that we had with them, they would tell us, oh, you know, from where they sit, they imagine that we bring in people they perceive not to be speaking for them, or if they speak for them, they speak people who are not of similar, say, strength or similar capacity as the opponents.
Today, the campaign teams monitor the news coverage, analyze and give feedback almost in real time, sometimes even on social media. Is the media in control?
Most of these aspirants, what they're doing now, they even have people that blog for them, or that write a lot of things on social media on their behalf. And there've been complaints. Sometimes we've even been linked, or they would write a tweet and tag you and say you were biased, you did not say this was said and you did not cover it.
Fact is, it will get worse. Most leading presidential hopefuls in Kenya now have a media team that currently streams or records events and shares with the media houses. They publish it ahead of media houses. The improving technology and connectivity will mean this intensifies in the coming years. Traditional media's significance will keep thinning. To survive, media houses must embrace more contextual analysis of news events. They must seek thematic news coverage, where political events do not necessarily restrict journalists. Media houses may choose to pool resources together or create joint news agencies where they can deploy teams to various campaigns independent of logistical support of the candidates. Media houses have no choice but to restructure their digital presence that is not just for spot news, digital-first approach. Instead, digital platforms must begin to process news and information in in-depth manner, beyond the clicks which are the same as those of candidates' social media accounts. A few things to consider. Media houses could enhance the journalism on local languages platforms. Why, you may ask? Notice most candidates live stream or post their campaign messages in English and Swahili. By embracing local languages with more analytical journalism, media houses will win the hearts and minds of millions of audiences who access news in their primary medium, the vernacular languages. This will be a new customer segment. Second, politicians are big on talk. They will utter a few figures from time to time. Media houses could transform their newsrooms into professional data analysis platforms, break down the numbers, fact-check, and deliver the information in simple, relatable pieces. That way, newsmen and women could be a step closer to taking back the control and becoming the authority they need to be, and secure the place of journalism for the next decade at the very least. This will need a well-informed and determined rider for the elephant to move in a clearly defined path. It will mean deliberate analysis of the three boxes to reimagine the future and drop the past that has been built on dependence and convenience. While at it, media managers must strike the balance to keep the business running optimally in the present, making changes that can last the business beyond the August 2022 Kenyan election. I thank you.